Listen, if you really want to transform your life in the next 6 months, the first thing you got to do is set clear and specific goals. I'm not talking about some vague, wishy-washy dream. I mean crystal clear, laser-focused, locked-in goals that will push you forward every single day. Too many people say, I want to be successful. But what does that even mean? What does success look like for you? You got to define it. You got to see it before you can seize it. If you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there? Imagine getting in your car with no destination. You're just driving around hoping you end up somewhere good. That's what most people do with their lives. They wake up, they go through the motions, and they expect greatness to just happen. But let me tell you something, success doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you decide right now exactly where you're going and how you're going to get there. So let's break this down. You've got 6 months. That's 180 days. That's 4,320 hours. How you use that time will determine whether you level up or stay exactly where you are. So I need you to get real specific about what you want. You want to get in the best shape of your life. Cool. But don't just say, I want to be fit. No, how much weight do you want to lose? How many times a week are you going to train? What's your nutrition plan? You want to start a business? Great. What kind of business? How much money do you want to make? What's your daily action plan? See, the reason most people never reach their goals is because they never set them in a way that creates urgency and clarity. You need to put yourself in a position where your goals are so clear that every decision you make is either bringing you closer or pushing you further away. No in between, no gray area, just straight focus. And once you set those goals, write them down. Not on your phone, not in your head. Write them down where you can see them every single day. There's power in writing your vision. It takes it from just a thought to something real, something tangible. And don't just write them down once and forget about them. Look at them every morning when you wake up. Remind yourself why you're grinding, why you're sacrificing, why you're putting in the work. Now, let's talk about breaking those goals down, because 6 months might feel like a long time, but it's going to fly by. You need to set checkpoints along the way. If your goal is to make $10,000 in the next 6 months, what does that mean for the next 90 days? What does that mean for this month? What does that mean for this week? What do you need to do today to move closer? See, success isn't about making one big move. It's about stacking small wins every single day. If you say, I want to read 12 books in 6 months, that's 2 books a month. That's 1 book every 2 weeks. That means reading a few pages every single day. You break it down into manageable steps so there's no excuse, no confusion, just execution. And here's the part where most people fall off: accountability. You can't just set a goal and hope it happens. You got to hold yourself to it. If you say you're going to wake up at 5 a.m. and work on your dream, then when that alarm goes off, you don't hit snooze. You get up. You remind yourself why you started. You do what you said you were going to do. And if you mess up, if you fall short one day, you don't throw the whole plan away. You adjust, you focus, and you keep going. I need you to understand this: the difference between people who succeed and people who don't isn't talent. It isn't luck. It isn't who they know. It's the fact that successful people know exactly what they want, and they move toward it with purpose every single day. They don't wait for motivation. They don't wait for the right time. They decide, they commit, and they execute. So I'm challenging you right now, get clear on your vision. Be specific, write it down. Break it into steps, and then go all in. Because 6 months from now, you're either going to look back and see massive progress, or you're going to be in the exact same place wishing you had started today. The choice is yours. Listen to me, your habits will determine your future. You can set all the goals in the world, but if your daily actions don't line up with them, you're never going to get there. It's that simple. Success isn't about what you do once in a while. It's about what you do consistently, day in and day out. It's about the habits you build, the choices you make, and the discipline you apply, especially when you don't feel like it. Everybody wants success, but not everybody is willing to do what it takes every single day. See, we live in a world where people love instant results. They want to go to the gym for a week and see abs. They want to work on their business for a month and be millionaires. But that's not how it works. Or you don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for. And real work happens in the small, unseen, everyday decisions you make. So let's be real. What are your daily habits? Are they leading you toward your goals? Or are they keeping you stuck? Because every single thing you do from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed is either building your success or destroying it. There's no in between. If you wake up and the first thing you do is scroll through your phone for an hour, how is that helping you? If you say you want to be successful, but you spend more time binge watching TV than working on your craft, how is that pushing you forward? You got to start creating habits that align with the life you want. And I'm not talking about making big, unrealistic changes overnight. I'm talking about small, intentional shifts that add up over time. You want to be in the best shape of your life. Start by drinking more water. Start by getting enough sleep. Start by moving your body every day. Now you want to be a top performer in your industry. Then make it a habit to study, to learn, to practice your skills every single day. See, people think success is about motivation. Let me tell you something, motivation will fail you. Motivation is there when you feel good, when things are exciting, when everything is going your way. But what happens when you're tired? What happens when life hits you? What happens when you don't feel like doing the work? That's when habits take over. Successful people don't rely on how they feel in the moment. They have habits that keep them locked in no matter what. They wake up early, even when they're tired. They put in the work, even when they don't feel like it. They stay disciplined, even when nobody's watching. That's the difference. That's the key. So let's get practical. If you want to transform your life in 6 months, you need a success routine. But you need a morning routine that sets the tone for your day. You need an evening routine that keeps you accountable. You need non-negotiables, things you commit to doing no matter what. Maybe that's reading 10 pages a day. Maybe that's exercising for 30 minutes. Maybe that's working on your craft for an hour before bed. Whatever it is, you have to commit. And don't just say you'll do it, schedule it. Treat your success habits like appointments you can't miss. Because if you don't make time for them, distractions will steal your time. Life will get in the way. There will always be something more urgent to do. But when you've made your habits a priority, when you've locked them in as part of your daily routine and nothing can shake you, here's the truth. The person you are today is a reflection of the habits you've built over time. And if you don't like where you are right now, you have the power to change it. You don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to keep repeating the same cycle. But you have to make a choice. You have to commit to small, consistent actions that add up to big results. So stop waiting for the perfect time. Stop waiting to feel motivated. Start today. Start with one habit, one change, one step forward. Because 6 months from now, your life will be the result of what you did every single day. And the only question is, did you build habits that took you closer to your dreams? Or did you waste another 6 months making excuses? The choice is yours. Time. The one thing everybody gets the same amount of, but only a few know how to use. Listen, it doesn't matter how smart you are, how talented you are, or how big your dreams are. If you don't know how to manage your time, you will never reach your full potential. Period. Most people walk around talking about, I don't have enough time. But let's be real, everybody has the same 24 hours. The difference is how you use them. You ever notice how the most successful people in the world get more done in a day than some people do in a week? You think that's by accident? You think they got lucky? No. They've mastered time. They don't waste it. They don't let distractions steal it. They control their time instead of letting time control them. And that's what you got to do. You want to transform your life in 6 months, you need to take back control of your time. No more excuses. No more I'll do it later. No more wasting hours on things that don't push you forward. Every minute you spend is either an investment in your future or a debt you'll have to pay later. So let's talk about how you're spending your time right now. Because most people don't even realize how much time they're wasting. Be honest, how much of your day is spent on things that don't matter? How much time do you lose scrolling through social media, watching TV, checking emails that could wait. How many hours do you spend doing things that have nothing to do with your goals? And then you wonder why you're not making progress. If you want to win, you have to start treating your time like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. You wouldn't just throw your money away, right? So why are you throwing your time away? Why are you giving it to things and people that don't move you forward? You have to protect your time. Guard it. Be intentional with it. You need a plan. You need structure. You need to wake up every single day knowing exactly what you need to do and when you need to do it. You can't just wing it and expect to be successful. That's how you stay stuck. That's how you waste another 6 months with nothing to show for it. So here's what you need to do. First, start tracking your time. For the next few days, write down everything you do. Every task, every distraction, every moment you spend on things that don't serve you. And then look at that list and be honest with yourself how much of your time is actually productive. How much of it is spent on things that will help you reach your goals. Once you see where your time is going, you can start making real changes. Next, prioritize. Not everything on your to-do list matters. Not everything deserves your time. Focus on the things that will give you the biggest return. What's going to move you forward the fastest? What's going to bring you closer to your goals? That's what needs your attention. Everything else, either delegate it, push it back, or cut it out completely. Then schedule your success. Not just say you'll find time to work on your dreams, make time. Block it off in your calendar like it's an appointment you can't miss. If it's not scheduled, it's not real. Treat your priorities like a job, because they are. And when it's time to work, eliminate distractions. Turn off your phone if you have to. Close the door. Get locked in. And let me say this, stop multitasking. Stop trying to do 10 things at once. That's not efficiency, that's chaos. You ever wonder why you're always busy but never actually getting things done? It's because you're splitting your focus. You're giving half your attention to everything instead of all your attention to the things that matter. Focus on one thing at a time. Finish it. Move on to the next. That's how you build momentum. Now, let's talk about time wasters, because if you're serious about success, you have to cut them out. Stop spending hours gossiping. Stop saying yes to things that don't serve your goals. Stop letting people steal your time with things that have nothing to do with where you're trying to go. You have to be ruthless with your time, because once it's gone, you don't get it back. And this isn't just about working hard. It's about working smart. It's about making sure every hour of your day is aligned with the future you want. It's about making sure the way you're spending your time today is leading you to the life you want tomorrow. Because 6 months from now, your results will be a direct reflection of how you used your time. So ask yourself, are you using your time, or is your time using you? Are you making progress, or are you making excuses? Because at the end of the day, time doesn't stop. It doesn't wait. It keeps moving with or without you. And if you don't take control of it now, you'll look back 6 months from now wondering where it all went. The choice is yours. If you want to transform your life in 6 months, you have to invest in yourself. Period. You have to make personal growth a priority. Because let me tell you something, your success will never outgrow you. If you don't level up, neither will your life. The reason most people stay stuck isn't because they don't have potential. It's because they refuse to grow. They refuse to learn. They refuse to push themselves beyond what they already know. And that's the problem. Because the version of you that got you here is not the version that's going to take you to the next level. Too many people are waiting for the opportunity, waiting for the big break, waiting for life to change, when in reality, the only thing that needs to change is you, your mindset, your skills, your discipline. That's where the transformation happens. You don't get what you want in life, you get what you are prepared for. And if you're not investing in yourself, you're not preparing for anything. So let's talk about growth. When was the last time you learned something new? When was the last time you pushed yourself out of your comfort zone? When was the last time you read a book, took a course, studied your craft, or sat down with someone who's ahead of you and asked questions? See, most people aren't growing because they think they already know enough. They get comfortable. They stop learning. They stop challenging themselves. And then they wonder why life isn't changing. You got to get obsessed with learning. I don't care how good you think you are. You can always get better. The best athletes in the world still train every day. The best business minds still study the market. The best performers still practice. Because they understand that success isn't about what you did yesterday. It's about what you're doing today to stay ahead. And if you're not growing, you're falling behind. Now let's get real. A lot of people say they want success, but when it's time to invest in themselves, they hesitate. They'll drop hundreds of dollars on entertainment, but won't spend a dime on a book that could change their mindset. They'll spend hours watching TV, but won't spend 30 minutes learning a skill that could change their life. And that's why they stay the same, because they don't value growth. They don't value learning. They don't value themselves enough to invest in their future. You have to change that. You have to commit to becoming the best version of yourself, no matter what it takes. Start reading books that challenge the way you think. Start listening to podcasts and studying people who have already done what you're trying to do. Start putting yourself in rooms where people are talking about solutions, not excuses. Surround yourself with people who push you, who inspire you, who make you level up just by being around them. Because the truth is, your environment is shaping you whether you realize it or not. And listen, growth isn't always comfortable. It's not always easy. Sometimes it's painful. Sometimes it forces you to confront parts of yourself that you rather ignore. But that's part of the process. Growth requires discomfort. It requires sacrifice. It requires you to give up the old version of you so that you can step into the person you're meant to be. This is why most people don't grow. They don't want to be uncomfortable. They don't want to struggle. They don't want to fail. But let me tell you something, you cannot grow without failing. You cannot grow without making mistakes. Every successful person you admire, every person who's at the top of their game has failed more times than they can count. The difference is they didn't let failure stop them. They learned from it. They adapted. They used it to get better. So if you're serious about changing your life in the next 6 months, you have to make personal growth your number one priority. Make it a habit. Make it non-negotiable. Set goals for how much you're going to learn each week. Push yourself to develop new skills. Challenge yourself to think bigger. And most importantly, take action on what you learn. Because knowledge without action is useless. This is your time. This is your moment. Everything you need to succeed is already out there. You just have to be willing to go get it. So stop waiting. Stop making excuses. Start growing. Start learning. Start investing in yourself like your future depends on it. Because it does. You say you want to transform your life in 6 months. Then let me tell you something. You better get ready to embrace challenges because they're coming. You better get ready to stay consistent because that's what separates the ones who make it from the ones who don't. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants to win. But the truth is, most people don't have the grit to push through when it gets hard. They don't have the discipline to keep going when the excitement wears off. See, it's easy to start. That's why every New Year's gyms are packed, businesses are launched, dreams are set in motion. But give it a few weeks and what happens? People start quitting. They start making excuses. They start telling themselves, maybe this isn't for me. Not because they don't have the talent. Not because they don't have the ability. But because they weren't ready to fight through the obstacles. They weren't ready to stay locked in when it got tough. And that's the difference between people who succeed and people who stay stuck. You have to understand, setbacks are part of the process. Struggles are part of the process. The moment you decide to level up, life is going to test you. It's going to see if you're really about this or if you're just talking. You're going to have days where you don't feel like it. You're going to have moments where it looks like nothing is working. You're going to have failures that make you question if you should keep going. And it's in those moments that you have to decide, are you going to let this stop you or are you going to push through? Consistency is everything. It's not about how hard you work for 1 week, 1 month, or even 3 months. It's about whether you can keep showing up, keep putting in the work, keep moving forward, even when there's no visible progress. See, that's what most people don't get. They think if they don't see instant results, it's not working. But success is like planting a seed. You don't plant a seed today and expect a tree tomorrow. You water it. You nurture it. You give it time to grow. And if you stay patient, if you stay consistent, one day you'll see the fruits of your labor. But most people, They quit before they see the results. They give up when it gets hard. They let doubt creep in. And that's why they never make it, because they're only committed when it's convenient. They're only willing to do the work when it's easy. But the real ones, the ones who truly change their lives, they show up regardless. They stay consistent regardless. They put in the work when they're tired, when they're discouraged, when they don't feel like it, because they understand that success isn't about what you do. It's about what you do when it's hard. And let me say this, your mindset is everything. If you go into this 6-month journey expecting it to be smooth, expecting everything to go your way, you're setting yourself up for failure. You have to go into this knowing that obstacles will come, that setbacks will happen, that doubt will try to creep in. And when it does, you don't fold. You don't break. You remind yourself why you started. You remind yourself that every challenge is just another step toward the next level. You remind yourself that the only way to fail is to quit. This is why you need a system in place. When motivation fades, and trust me, you need discipline to take over. That means setting up routines that keep you locked in no matter how you feel. That means tracking your progress so you can see how far you've come. That means surrounding yourself with people who won't let you quit, who will hold you accountable, who will push you when you don't have the strength to push yourself. So ask yourself, are you really ready for this? Are you really willing to do what it takes? Because 6 months from now, you're going to be in one of two places. You're either going to look back and see massive progress, or you're going to be in the same spot, making the same excuses, wishing you had stayed consistent. The choice is yours. Look, you can have the best plan in the world. You can set the biggest goals, build the right habits, master your time, invest in yourself, and stay consistent. But if you don't hold yourself accountable, none of it matters. You can't just talk about it. You can't just write it down. You can't just think about it and hope things change. You have to be real with yourself day in and day out. Because at the end of the day, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to push you when you don't feel like it. Nobody's going to do the work for you. You have to decide that your success is your responsibility. Not your friends, not your family, not your boss, not your coach. You. And that's where most people mess up. They blame their circumstances. They blame their past. They blame everything and everyone but themselves. But listen, the moment you start pointing fingers, you give away your power. Because as long as it's somebody else's fault, you don't have to change. As long as it's somebody else's problem, you don't have to take action. And that's why people stay stuck. You have to own everything, the wins, the losses, the good days, the bad days. Because when you take full responsibility, you take full control. And when you take full control, that's when real transformation happens. That's when you stop making excuses. That's when you stop waiting for the perfect moment and start making things happen, no matter what. So let's get real. Are you tracking your progress? Are you holding yourself to the standard you said you would? Are you doing the things you promised yourself you would do? Because it's easy to say you're working hard. It's easy to say you're committed. But when you look at your results, do they match your effort? Do they match your words? Or are you just going through the motions, convincing yourself that you're doing enough when deep down, you know you could be doing more? This is why you need accountability. Because no matter how strong you are, no matter how disciplined you think you are, there will be days when you want to slack off. There will be moments when doubt creeps in, when distractions pull you away, when life throws challenges at you that make you want to stop. And if you don't have a system in place to check yourself, to call yourself out when you're slipping, you will fall off track before you even realize it. So here's what you need to do. First, set clear, measurable goals. Not vague, not general specific. If you say you want to be successful, what does that actually look like for you? If you say you want to get in shape, what's your target? If you say you want to grow your business, what are the numbers you need to hit? Get specific, because if you don't, you'll have no way to measure your progress. Then track your actions every single day. Not just in your head, write it down. Keep a log of what you're doing, how much effort you're putting in, and what results you're getting. Because when you can see your progress or lack of it in black and white, there's no room for excuses. Either you did the work or you didn't. Either you showed up for yourself or you didn't. Numbers don't lie. Data doesn't lie. The only thing that lies is your mind when it tries to convince you that you're working harder than you actually are. And listen, accountability doesn't just mean checking in with yourself. You need people around you who will push you, challenge you, and keep you on track. People who won't let you settle. People who will call you out when you're slacking, not just pat you on the back and tell you it's okay to quit. Because the truth is, most people surround themselves with endless people who let them make excuses, who let them stay in their comfort zone, who make them feel good about not giving their best. And if that's the environment you're in, you will never grow. Find a mentor. Find a coach. Find a group of like-minded people who are just as hungry as you. Set up regular check-ins. Create consequences for not following through. If you say you're going to do something, make it non-negotiable. Because when you have real accountability, when you know someone is going to ask you, did you do what you said you would? That's when you start showing up differently. That's when you stop making excuses. That's when you start seeing real change. At the end of the day, it all comes down to this: are you going to hold yourself to the highest standard, or are you going to let yourself off the hook? Because 6 months from now, you will either be proud of what you built, or you'll be looking back with regret, wishing you had pushed harder, wishing you had stayed more disciplined, wishing you had taken this more seriously. The choice is yours.